Hey folks, my guest today is Sven Lakinger. He's the co-founder at Sastrify, the leading procurement service for SaaS subscriptions. Before the company, he had already founded the parking startup Evo Park, which was acquired in 2017. He holds a degree from WHU and worked for Goldman Sachs, the BCG, and Bain. Sven, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for
All
having me,
right.
Nathan.
So what? You guys had too many subscriptions to manage at Evo Park, and you said, "My next company, I'm going to solve this problem." Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what got us started. So my co-founder is the tech guy. I'm the finance guy. That's, I guess, exactly where we had the link. And then once our past company got acquired, even our acquirer, which was a much larger company, had the same issues. So that's kind of like what got us started last year.
Tell me real quick. Let's just close up the Evo Park story. Did you bootstrap that business before you exited, or no?
No, we actually raised, we were the first ever startup that Porsche, the car manufacturer, invested in. So there was a lot of more or less corporate VC, three angel rounds, and then we got acquired back in 2018 with one of the leading like parking manufacturers. They basically handle everything that you can imagine that's in the car park, so payment machines, stuff like that. And we were like the logical addition to that.
And so, how much total did you raise that business?
We raised like single digit million back in the days. It
Okay.
was like different, like smaller angel rounds and just like, yeah, not more than like 2 or 3 million in total. So it was
Okay.
quite a easy cast there.
And how many years, like when did you launch that business before you sold it?
Uh, we launched it in back in 2014. So it took
Okay.
us about 4 years till exit.
Yep.
Yeah,
And what did you end up selling the business for?
that I can't tell, unfortunately. But it's
Were you, was it
sorry.
enough money for you to take some to put into Sastrify?
Yeah, we basically took like everybody took money off the table, and I think it also made a lot of sense for the acquirer. Yeah, it was. I always like to say it was no Facebook, so that's obviously what we're rather up to now.
But you sold for more than $3 million cash up front.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everyone you'd be stuck. Okay, great. So tell us about that. You bring your co-founder, you bring your same team from there now into this new business. Did you guys split equity 50-50 in Sastrify, or you did something weird?
No, we actually I don't know. I'm not sure if it's weird. So we were like four guys at Evo Park. So all of the other two got 5% each on Sastrify. And we did the same thing with their new business. So we kind of like cross invested each 5% at the beginning. So the original cap table was basically 45, and then twice for the other guys.
Okay, got it. So original at Sastrify is you 45, your co-founder 45, and then the other two 10.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
how we
Very
did it.
cool. And then tell us. Okay. So tell us about the business, right? So who are your customers? Who are you helping here?
So we basically start with any tech company that's above 100 people. That's more or less what we look for. So 100 to a couple thousand people. Really anybody in that tech space. Obviously, as we're based in Germany, like most of our customers are around Europe right now, Singapore and some other Asian countries. And now we're basically building that towards the rest of the world.
And what's the business model? What are these companies paying you on average per month to use the tech?
So we ACV is around like 25, 25K more or less. So we have a basic SaaS model that's tiered upon the total spend of SaaS they have. And basically what we do is we help them really end to end on the process in terms of finding the right solutions, comparing them, getting the right prices for them, actually having a structured buying process. So how to bring software into the enterprise. And then in the end, like also managing the contracts over the long term, right? Because I think for SaaS, the real interesting part is here also like, what do I have when I switch up for renewal to really like have a long term perspective on that.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like so you can think of us as a virtual procurement department for SaaS.
And so is that flat fee to $25,000 per year, no matter how much you save them on tools?
Yeah, it's actually so what we found is, I mean, it's obviously we're quite a young company, so about 12 months old. So nothing
Okay.
is
So
set
you
in
launched
stone.
2020.
Yeah, so we launched
Okay.
like I think we kicked off I think we actually launched February this year, more or less. But we hired the team around like November last year. So that's kind of like
Mhm.
when we got started with the whole thing.
Okay. And tell me about the first customer you brought on.
Yeah, so first customer is actually right in the sweet spot for our customers right now. So it's around like 300-400 people by now. Yeah, typically
Can you
like
name them, Sven? Are they comfortable being public?
yeah, no, it's good. It was Amboss, a company from Berlin. They do a very like famous training app for medicine students. And like crazy amount, like really cool company. And they basically we started with them figuring out on how they buy software and how to optimize that.
And you keep mentioning number of team members, but do you price against number of team members or total amount of total software spend in 2020?
Yeah, we price against total software spend, but then again, it's not like you can't pinpoint it down to the euro or the dollar, right? That's why we always try to give because if we ask prospects what's your total software spend, then the typical answer is I have no idea. And if I ask them, okay, how many people are you, then it's much easier to categorize.
Don't name this customer, obviously, but today, what's your highest ACV customer? Like, what's your highest plan?
Around 60K.
60K. Okay. And so for them, you're doing everything full suite. Like, how much do they spend on software annually?
Millions, like
millions. Okay.
Yeah. But then they're like, again, I think what we found is that it's too cheap, that we are too cheap still, which is a good thing because typically like within like the first couple of weeks, actually, we saved them like 3-4 times of that.
Okay. So Almost was your first company. You've got large enterprise accounts at $60,000 ACVs already. How many total customers are you serving today?
Around 70, a bit more than that.
70.
Yeah, 70. Yeah. So it's been quite a year for us.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is fairly significant. I mean, can I take 70 times $2,000 a month on average? I mean, that's what, 140 grand a month in revenue?
Pretty much that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And what were you exactly a year ago? Do you have nothing?
Yeah. That's pretty much it. So we had like 1 or 2 test customers, but we really kicked it off like from January, February this year.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't have to tell you this. You're from the space. I mean, that's super impressive growth. Did you do this bootstrapped or did you raise?
No, we raised a pre-seed in November last year when we hired the team. And then we raised a seed round 3 months ago of about $7 million to now basically, just grow all over Europe. That's kind of like the next step.
Mm-hmm. Tell me real quick about sort of why you chose to do this way. So the pre-seed round last year, how much was that for?
$1.3 million.
And was that sort of on pretty standard terms, like safe, 5 million cap, that sort of deal?
Yeah. So I think we had like we did a price round at a bit more than should be like $6 million.
Oh, you priced it right on the start.
Yeah, we priced it right on the start.
Well, why'd you decide to do that?
Yeah, there's some like German applications to that in terms of subsidies and whatever you get. So there's like it wasn't too big of a difference. And as we know, like most of the investors we onboarded were actually investors from EvoPark as well, because we just love to work with them. So it was also like, super easy structures and everything already in place.
Yeah, they said, Sven, you're young. We backed you at your first business. You must let us write a check in your next business.
Yeah, it was everybody was quite keen on backing that as well.
Okay, so 6 million valuation last year, and then the 7 million you just raised. What valuation was that at?
About 27 pre, something like that.
What was that process like? I mean, would you change anything? Did it feel like a fair valuation?
I think it was a decent one. So we didn't push it too much. We were rather looking for the right partner. And one thing that we also did, which was not smart, was we raised in July, which which I cannot recommend to anyone because apparently people love to do holidays in August. So that was kind of like the only drawback. But in the end, we ended up with the partner that we wanted with HV from Berlin and Munich. And they're great, like really great, supportive for us.
So you sold, I guess, in the pre-seed. In the pre-seed you sold? I'm doing the math. 20. Basically, you sold 20% twice.
It should be a bit less than that. I think like it was like 17% each.
Okay. But now, if you look at your cap table, investors own something like 35, 40%.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, got it. When do you guys start thinking, one of the questions I get from early stage founders, especially when they're going through the raise process, is usually that seed round, those investors are going to ask you to set up an ESOP pool, right? Like some sort of, equity sharing plan for employees. Was that required? Like, did you see that requirement for you? And if so, how large did you make that?
So we made one with 15% of the original cap table at the beginning, which we also found and which we're changing now. Is that for some reason it's very typical in Germany that you set it up that the original VSOP goes only towards the founder proceeds, which is obviously not too great for the founder side. So basically gives you some additional dilution there. For us, it was like super important to have the initial team incentivized, obviously, So we were fine with that, but we're also changing it now that we're going through the rounds that we basically everybody covers it more or less.
Okay, interesting. And was the 7 million, did that all go onto the balance sheet or did you take any secondary there?
No, that was all going on the balance sheet.
Did you ask for secondary?
We had not at that round, but yeah, for us it's not like there's not going to be a secondary for the next couple of rounds, I guess. Let's see about that. But for us, it's right now. It's really we believe very strongly in it. So I guess, and we don't need the money for now. So I think it's more focus on the business.
Sven, how many folks are on the team today?
I think in total we're about 53 right now,
53.
plus minus.
Okay. Yeah. And how many engineers?
About 8, more or less.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this isn't really an engineering heavy problem. It's more like BDRs or like you need business development people to like negotiate prices and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're really trying to get rid of that manual part, right? So the end product should be a platform that can do everything automatically. So we're now heavily investing in that product and an engineering piece. But obviously, like the really nice part about the business is that you can basically theoretically do it with an Excel sheet. It doesn't scale, but it's really like if you're smart enough and you just look at enough contracts and processes, you can really like do it as a one-man show. Yep. And that's what kind of like got us started, because transforming that into a platform and really automating it will then basically give you like a huge leverage on the whole process. I guess the end process for us is really like building that one platform where you can handle it like your whole SaaS stack on.
Vendor raised 60 million on a 600 million valuation earlier in March. Does that feel like a high valuation to you?
Well, it's from what I know, it's about 100x on the ARR. So I guess that's quite what we see everywhere at the moment. So I'm not that surprised, and frankly, they're doing a really great job there.
Yeah. So you have them in March at somewhere around $6 million in revenue.
Yeah, that's at least what I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, talk to me. You said you feel like your pricing's too cheap, right? So pricing changes early on. Founders always do it later than they should, right? So like, why haven't you changed pricing yet?
Yeah, we're actually going to do that pretty soon. It's mostly like, yeah, obviously you're so stuck into operational processes. I mean, why are we too cheap? Just because like I think our average ROI is now like 6 times. And customers would probably already be happy with like 4 times. Let's put it that way. And now that we have more trust and more logos and like huge companies that we work with, I think it's totally fair that our value is somehow proven.
Mm-hmm. Are you combining your leverage? In other words, okay, let's make this up. Your professional plan, right? There's a dedicated buyer there. Is that buyer calling up Salesforce and going, listen, we have 10 Sastrify customers that pay you $1 million per year. You need to give us a 10% discount, and then you distribute that discount across those 10 customers you represent that need a Salesforce license?
Yeah, we actually don't do that on a bulk level, because we see that there's actually more of what we do. It comes from the efficiency of just doing it more often than once. So typically, if you buy Salesforce in a company, you do it once. Maybe you switch companies, you do it twice. But our team does it like every day. So we obviously also know the Salesforce people, and they just send over what's already expected to be a good contract, right? So there's actually, it happens automatically, but there's no setup where we just like bundle contracts and then distribute it to all the customers.
So like you work with Blacklane. Why can't Blacklane just ping Salesforce directly and ask for their best option? Like why is Salesforce going to give you a better offer than they would the customers directly?
So I think the big one here is that for our customers, it's not only about the price, it's also about the process. Okay. So basically the whole like reaching out to them, getting demos, negotiating 3 rounds, as opposed to just telling us, hey, Sastrify, we need Salesforce, and then we come back with like a already basically done offer at a good price, at a decent rate.
I see. Talk to me more about your sales team. How many quota carrying reps do you have?
So we just did a split of SDRs and AEs, and in total we have about 10 now, 11, up from 3 8 weeks ago.
What's the split of the 11 between AEs and SDRs?
So right now it's 6 SDRs and 5 AEs. And then because we're a bit lacking behind on the SDR side.
So what are the SDRs responsible for? How do you incent them?
Basically it's getting demos in. That's so reaching out to people, scheduling first demos.
How many demos should they close every month so they don't fire them?
So we just hired them. So for us, it's really now figuring out of what they can deliver, right? So we're ramping it up, I think to 2 per week or something right now. But that's like it's still like in the very early stages there.
Okay. And then those AEs, what do you expect them to be closing per month, once they're fully ramped?
So once they're fully ramped, it's also something like 1 to 2 customers a month, which gives you like a total of about 500K AR per year.
Yep. Yeah. So each year, if those AEs are on target, their quota is to close 500K in new ARR.
Yeah, plus minus. There's obviously differentiations in terms of seniority and what they can do and what they can't.
Of course, yeah.
That's like, I mean, we've not been around for a full year, so it's
no, it's impressive.
A lot of like finding out of what works and what doesn't.
Sven, it's impressive stuff, man. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, favorite book.
I have to say, 4 Hour Work Week. It was really transforming.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
There's the only guy I'm really following on that is actually Arnold Schwarzenegger, but that's a different story.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building Sastrify?
I guess I have to say Donut. I love Donut calls with my team.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Try to make it 7.
Okay, very cool. And situation, married, single, kids?
Girlfriend and living together.
Okay. Not married, no kids. How old are you?
31.
31. Last question. Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
Wow. I guess that you don't have to go to business school to become an entrepreneur.
Guys, there you have it. Sastrify launched, just call it like 11 months ago. They went from nothing to $140,000 a month in revenue in that time span, serving 70 customers, helping them buy SaaS tools more effectively. They handle the whole demo process, get the quote process, negotiate the contract. They raised $1.3 million on a $6 million valuation last year to get going, and then $7 million on a 34 post just recently this year as they scale. 53 on the team as Sven scales there in Europe. Sven, thanks for taking us to the top.
Likewise. It was good to be here.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.